Hey guys, Retro Reviews again, here with another video review. This time I am going to be taking a look at the Transformers Cybertron Deluxe Class Hotshot figure. So this is the last one of the pre-Cybertron defense upgrades that I have that I've looked at of Red Alert, Scattershot, and now Hotshot. And this figure was strange for me. One, since I grew up with the Unicron Trilogy, when he first came out, I was a little bit weirded out by Hotshot being blue. I was also a little bit weirded out that Hotshot's voice actor changed. Rest in peace, Kirby Morrow. You did a good job on this character. But considering the fact that this was actually supposed to be a new character who wasn't Hotshot in the Galaxy Force cartoon or anime, this was supposed to be a new character named Excellion, so that makes a little bit more sense with the new color scheme not having anything to do with Hotshot's character. But doing some research on this figure, I found out that this car is actually kind of a real-world car. This is based off of like a Chrysler concept, like sports car that Chrysler made a concept of, which again completely dumbfounds me, because as much as I know about cars, and then Chrysler coming up with what would appear to be a sports car with a rear engine, when Chrysler's been known to make family cars, that just kind of really makes it weird for me. It's not like Chevrolet, where they have like a perfect blend of muscle cars, SUVs and trucks, and family cars and coupes. And then, well, I guess Dodge and Chrysler are the same thing too. So, like, this looks like a exotic car is what I'm trying to say. This doesn't look like anything that came from a domestic manufacturer. This looks like it would be like made by Ferrari or something. Anyways, taking a look at the car mode, I do really like this car, and I love the color scheme. The yellow details on a mostly blue car does look really good. I do like the yellow tinted windows and headlights that he's got going on. No paint on the back, which back then was a little bit rare to see. However, nowadays it's extremely common. But we do get some extra exhaust, like the exhaust pipes are up here. Again, that's weird concept car stuff. I don't know. But also, if you look, the molding doesn't really indicate where headlight or where taillights would even be. So there's vents here, but these squares just seem to taper off. So I don't see where any taillights would be. I guess there would be one taillight would be there with that little chevron sculpted in. There's a license plate sculpted in, but nothing really else on that. It does roll really well, as you can see. And also molded in seats. However, that's throwing off the scale of this car so much, because those seats are tiny. And they're like so sunken in too, so where the person standing up next to this car would be this tall. So that it's huge. It is way out of proportion. But anyways, rambling on. I want to show off the Cyberkey Gimmick now. I do not have his gun, or the missile launching gun, so I can't show that off. But it's a clear gun, and it makes, like, it just shoots a missile. The Cyberkey that he came with was one from the Speed Planet. I just grabbed a random Cyberkey out of the Cyberkey bag that I have, so that is not his code. And how his Cyberkey Gimmick works is at the top of the engine here, you just plug that in, and then two wings pop out, and he's supposed to get a speed boost. So while this gimmick can function in robot mode, it is completely useless. So now on to transformation, and I do want to point out one more thing. The designers at Hasbro and Takara, when they worked on this figure, took a lot of cues from the figure from Takara's Gal Gaigar line back from when they did the Brave series in 1997. The Gal Gaigar Volfog figure. This takes heavy cues of that with the transformation and the way the figure is styled in robot mode. So that being said, just wanted to point out that little bit of trivia that this was actually like alternate universe. It could be a universe, or it could be a classics version of Volfog, or a Generations Volfog. So anyways, going ahead for the transformation, go ahead and start by pulling these down. Oh, I forgot to show this thing off in vehicle mode. Just real quick, want to show it off with a newer figure here. I do have the Siege Prowl here standing nearby. So, Deluxe Class Siege Prowl standing side by side with the Deluxe Class Hotshot. Again, this is what I was getting at before with the Optimus Prime review. That was almost a year ago, but this thing cost $20 in 2021. Or 2020, 2019, whenever. Pretty much 15 years difference between these guys. So, again, this Deluxe Class figure costs $20. This Deluxe Class figure costs $10. And this one isn't even that, like, it's a good figure, but there's not a lot of extra engineering to it that I feel would warrant that $20 price range compared to what we got 10 years ago or 15 years prior. So, yeah. And then just stand them up next to a robot mode of modern day. We have Optimus Prime. And then you'll get your turn crosswise, but setting them up next to a Deluxe Class vehicle from the same line crosswise. So, as you can see, not really, like, they're pretty much the same size. So, alright, now onto the transformation. I'm going to go ahead and fold down the feet from those exhaust vents, and then you're also going to pull the back of the car out, and then you can also unpeg the legs and separate them out, and then fold the door and the wheel. You're going to rotate that all the way out, and then at this point you want to lift up the canopy of the car and then rotate it around. And then come up here, split the arms apart. Now, it doesn't say to do this in the instructions, and if you watch the if you watch in the show when he transforms from robot to vehicle in the stock footage, he keeps his head facing forward. However, in the reverse transformation in the show, when he's going from vehicle to robot, his last step is he actually does rotate his head around. And there we have Hotshot in his robot mode. Now let's go ahead and, of course, first take a look at that head sculpt. As you can see, really nice head sculpt. It is a little bit reminiscent of Energon Hotshot. If I can go ahead, and I do have an Energon Hotshot here standing by too, so if I can go ahead and get both of them in frame so you can see their head sculpt. It is a little bit reminiscent, but with some colors swapped around. Also, his head sculpt, his face is just a little bit weird. But anyways, go back to Cybertron Hotshot. And yeah, some really nice detail in his face sculpt. I do like the side vents, the forehead crest, and I do really love this visor being cast in clear yellow plastic. That just looks really cool and kind of just gives off this little bit of extra detail to him. Now, unfortunately, he is one of the figures in this Cybertron line that does not have light piping. But I think that's okay with this figure. It doesn't seem to hurt it in any way. In fact, with the big backpack behind him, his head, I think it would end up making... It wouldn't work with the light piping anyways, so... Other details I would like to note is that we do get a new chest plate. This is all completely hidden away in vehicle mode, unless you flipped it over, but we do have a new chest. It does have a nice little like mechanical sci-fi anime mech detailing to it, and also kind of looks a little bit like a robot, like another like a transformer or another drone or something, but it does look like it has eyes and a mouth plate. Other details I do want to point out, he does have, if you look really closely on the doors, he does have 3 little pipes, very reminiscent to G1 Hot Rod. And then legs are just legs, really. Only other detail is this painted yellow on the front. Now, for posability wise, he is actually pretty posable for his for this figure. As you saw in the transformation, his head does rotate 360 degrees. His shoulders, here for the transformation, you do get some upward movement, as well as you do get a cut here for forward elbow articulation or shoulder articulation. And then just due to the way his transformation is, it makes his arms a little wonky. The forearm is extremely long, and the elbow is cut pretty low down in the forearm, but that's a ball jointed elbow, so you can get a full range of movement out of it and about a 90-degree bend. No waist articulation. Hips, despite having this backpack, which also is on a mushroom peg, so if it does, it would get removed before it got damaged. So that's what that was intended for. But despite that backpack being in the way, the hips are on ball joint. They go out that far. That's kind of bad, but they could go forward that far and back that far. And thankfully, with the way the backpack is cut, it gets out of the way for the legs. And then as you see, it does have a 90-degree bend in the knee. And then nothing in the feet. You can kind of position the feet for, depending on what pose you have, but it doesn't really do much to help. So there is Hotshot in his robot mode. Again, I don't have his gun, so I can't show him holding it. But it is just kind of a regular 5mm gun with the barrel being a missile launcher. So it's a firing missile gimmick. It's not really anything to write home about. We've seen how those work millions of times. And again, going back to the Cyberkey gimmick, like I said, It still works in this mode, but just gives him a little bit extra wingage on the back, and doesn't do anything except for just does that. So nothing really much to write home about with the additional features. It is a really fun toy still. I do really like it. Go ahead and bring in his other compadres. The ones who selflessly but foolishly went up against Scourge and Megatron and almost suffered the ultimate price for it. So, and again, scale is out the window, because how would a car be oversized compared to an ambulance SUV and a tank? So, thankfully, the Cybertron Defense Team releases of these characters fixes that scaling issue. And then while I've got them out, might as well just bring out the rest of the Team Prime that I have. So this is going to be everybody that I have from the ones who came down to Cybertron, but I am with Optimus Prime's team at the beginning of the series, but I am missing a Jetfire and a landmine. So there they all are, scaled up together. I did forget, I do want to scale this with a modern day Transformers figure, so we're going to bring Siege Optimus in again. And as you see, pretty decent size for Voyager to Deluxe. Just kind of weird to think that a figure this size would be released $20 now, with how little it does. But at least Optimus does have the engineering to compensate that for his size, being about the same size as a Deluxe from 2005. So with that being said, and with my Team Prime all out here, that just about does it for the review. And like I said, Hotshot is a pretty decent figure overall, but nothing really to write home about. He's very fun to mess around with, especially if you're just wanting to grab something off the shelf and just have a little bit of fun with, but nothing too spectacular, nothing too over-the-top wow factor. He's just basically run-of-the-mill Deluxe from Cybertron, but still a pretty decent figure, and if you do find one for a good price, I would definitely recommend picking him up. As far as I know, there's nothing really bad that could happen to this figure on its own. So nothing really to worry about, nothing that can break easily if you do it wrong, but just, yeah, if you could find one, especially one complete at a good price, I do highly suggest picking it up. Anyways, this has been Retro Reviews, and I hope you guys like this video review. I will see you again next time.